Welcome to this episode of Uplifting News Sleep Aid, where I read you good news to fall asleep to. Today is Saturday, April 4th, 2020. Our three uplifting news stories include an 89-year-old dance instructor who gets creative and is teaching dance during the pandemic, pet fostering taking off as coronavirus keeps Americans home, and a 104-year-old World War II veteran who defeated coronavirus in time for his birthday celebration. Now, breathe in, breathe out, and relax as we dive into these stories. From Today.com by Alexander Casala. Dance instructor, 89, still teaching during pandemic. You have to get creative. For me and my students, this gives us something to look forward to. As a new normal begins to settle across the world amid the coronavirus pandemic, many in-person activities are converting to online spaces. For some, this can be challenging, but the difficulties of using technology are not stopping Anna Marie Leo from teaching her dance classes via Zoom. Born in 1930, Leo began dancing at the age of 4 after she tagged along to her sister's classes in Wilmington, Delaware. Her sister ended up giving up dance, but Leo discovered her lifelong passion in those classes. When she was 21, Leo teamed up with her husband to open a dance studio in Wilmington, Anna Marie Dance Studio. I got that year maybe 75 students where lessons were $1.50 a week, Leo told Today. Think about that. A dance lesson for $1.50. My rent for that building was maybe $600 a month. Boy, would I like to be paying that now. From there it escalated, and over the past 69 years, her studio has inhabited 6 different locations. Despite selling the business to her great niece a few years ago, she still teaches 3 days a week. Now, the coronavirus pandemic has forced the small business to shut its doors, but Leo is not letting the pandemic stop her from teaching. The 89-year-old has overcome the loss of her husband and a daughter, and even a fire that burned down her studio in 1982. So resilience is no stranger to her. I go online and I can see the children dancing and they can see me and hear me, she explained, adding that her grandson, who she lives with, is helping her with the technical side of broadcasting dance classes via video conferencing. But it's working, and I hope it continues to work. Sometimes you have to get creative, but for me and my students, this gives us something to look forward to. So of course I hope we don't have to do this too much longer, but if we do, we keep doing this. One of the students who looks forward to her classes is 11-year-old Annie Rosenthal, who has been dancing at Anna Marie Dance Studio for 6 years. She's always been a really good teacher, Rosenthal said of Leo. She's loving, really caring, and she really cares that we get the steps right. Rosenthal explained that even though dancing in her bedroom is different than dancing in a studio, she's made some changes, like adding cardboard on top of her carpet to make it work. I love that it's added some normalcy to my kid's life, Rosenthal's mom, Meredith, said. They're able to partake in things that they like. It also keeps them on a schedule, which is really important for them. It helps them to be able to see other people and interact with them. It enables them to have exercise, so it's been extremely valuable. I also love that a small business like Anna Marie's can still give us value. We paid for those classes, and I love that they can still do this and stay in business. We're very satisfied with what our kids are getting out of using technology. Leo, who has diabetes, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and is on oxygen, checks many of the boxes that make her vulnerable to COVID-19. Yes, I'm a little scared, she shared. I haven't been out of the house for probably 3 weeks, but I'm not giving up. I'm optimistic. I'm definitely one of the half-full glass people. Always has been, always will be. I guess maybe that's how I got to 90, so hopefully I'll get to many more of those years. Leo says she hopes her story can inspire others, and her message to others is to never give up. There's always a solution, she adds. When you think, oh my gosh, how am I gonna make this happen? Look for a solution. You can find it. There's always a way. If it doesn't work with plan A, go to plan B. Stay positive and know that we are all going to get through this together. And what I'd like to see when we all get over it is that the camaraderie stays. Don't go back to your I or me self, but stay with your neighbors, your coworkers, and everybody. I think that's going to be very important when this all ends, that we keep that connection and camaraderie that we are forming out of this. This podcast is hosted on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. There's creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. Our second story is from apnews.com by Marjorie A. Beck and Scott McFetrich. Pet fostering takes off as coronavirus keeps Americans home. Omaha, Nebraska. The Simeone family was heading home to Omaha from a Smoky Mountains vacation when Kim Simeone spotted a social media post from the Nebraska Humane Society, pleading with people to consider fostering a pet amid concerns about how the coronavirus would affect operations. A day later, a 1.5-year-old black lab mix named Nala was nestling in at her home. Nala is one of 35 dogs and cats that have been placed with Omaha area families as part of an emergency foster care program. It just felt like with all the virus stuff going on, it just seemed like a need we could help with, Simeone said. We're all quarantined anyway. I mean, what a perfect opportunity to do something good. Amid an avalanche of bad news, Simeone's story and thousands like it across the country are promoting smiles as suddenly isolated people rush to care for animals, easing a burden on shelters and providing homes, even if just temporarily, for homeless dogs, cats, and other pets. Shelters from California to New York have put out the call for people to temporarily foster pets. Thanks to an overwhelming response from people who suddenly found themselves stuck at home, shelters say they have placed record numbers of dogs, cats, and other animals. If past trends hold, many of those who agree to temporarily care for a pet will ultimately decide they want the animal to stay for good. We have a waiting list of 2,000 people wanting to foster, said Dr. April Steele, president and CEO of Dumb Friends League Shelter in Denver. It's the largest animal shelter in the Rocky Mountain region, caring for an average of 22,000 animals a year. Steele said the initial push there to foster animals came not from the shelter, but the community. We had people reaching out to us all of a sudden, she said. People just wanted to do something to help. We realized pretty quickly that we could soon be facing a shutdown of our adoptions and got on board. Shelters have several reasons for pushing to foster out animals, Steele said, including the fear that they might have to stop adopting out animals if people can't visit them, or that they might see an influx of people surrendering animals amid economic woes. But the overriding factor, she said, was concern for workers' health. We need to get to a skeleton staff, stat. We can't do that if the shelter is full, she said. Stephanie Filer, spokeswoman for Animal Rescue League of Iowa, also noted that the shelters are seeing a drop in donations, a normal occurrence during an economic downturn. The Des Moines-based organizations and others have also had to cancel fundraising events because of virus containment efforts. The good news is that when Filer's group put out a call for temporary homes for at least 80 cats in their care, it received some 160 applications within 12 hours. She noted that 60 to 70% of people who foster an animal opt to keep the animal permanently. A crisis brings out the worst in people and the best in people, so we're thrilled to see some exciting things come from this awful situation, she said. Since mid-March, the San Francisco Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals has seen 1,600 people volunteer to foster, and the Oregon Humane Society in Portland has seen 1,000 new foster volunteers. The outpouring comes at a critical time because animals produce lots of litters in the spring, said Dr. Jennifer Scarlett, president of the San Francisco SPCA. You have shelter leaders around the country who are just looking at this tidal wave that is coming our way, Scarlett said. In Washington, D.C., the Humane Rescue Alliance said more than 1,000 people signed up to foster in a 10-day period this month. One of those was first-time foster volunteer Katie Lee, who is now caring for Calvin, a 2-year-old terrier mix. A move to working from home during the coronavirus scare prompted her decision because, at least I'm home a lot. Ina Offred of Anchorage, Alaska, agreed to foster 10-year-old Kelsey after a local shelter called saying it had no more room for animals and was desperate to clear space. Kelsey, a poodle mix, joined Offred's poodle, Susie. If she had been asked a month ago if she was ready to take in another dog, Offred said, she would have politely declined, noting she had had 3 dogs under her roof until last year when old age took the other 2. I had reached a point in my life when I decided I didn't want multiple dogs, Offred said. Then the coronavirus hit. Offred said she hasn't changed her mind about wanting to be a single dog family, but Kelsey has a home until another family can be found. I'm going to keep her until whenever that is, Offred said. Our last story is from WashingtonExaminer.com by John Gage. I made it. 104-year-old World War II veteran defeats coronavirus in time for birthday celebration. A 104-year-old World War II veteran has become the oldest known survivor of the coronavirus outbreak after he defeated the disease in time for his birthday. Bill Lapshies had a celebration with his family Wednesday to celebrate his birthday, less than a month after testing positive for the coronavirus. I don't know, Lapshies said about defeating the illness to Oregon Public Broadcasting. It just went away. Sit out here, you can get rid of anything. The veteran's survival is a rarity for the disease, the main casualties of which are those over 80 years old. Lapshies had a mild case of the virus and never got severe respiratory issues, according to one of his doctors. This could have easily gone another way, said Dr. Rob Richardson, one of the doctors overseeing care at the veteran's home. There's not a lot of interventions that can be done. Lapshies, who was born in 1916 in Salem, Oregon, also survived the 1918 Spanish flu. He would go on to be drafted by the U.S. Army in 1943. His daughter, Carolee Brown, said her father has an upbeat personality. His personality might have been what helped him beat out the 103-year-old Zhang Guanfen as the oldest corona survivor. Regarding how he felt about being 104, Lipshies told his granddaughter, Jamie Yutzi, "Pretty good. I made it," he added. I thought we might have a 30% mortality rate here in our facility, Richardson said about the home in which Lipshies lives. Because all of our veterans have some other medical problems. So far, 16 people have confirmed coronavirus cases at the veterans' home. Though 2 of them died, half of those have recovered. That's it for tonight. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Uplifting News Sleep Aid Podcast. Stay safe and stay inside.